Is that still required by MID?
Pardon me?
MID originally required monthly reports on the outside place of use. Is that still required by MID?
I'm assuming it is if that was a requirement of the contract.
You're not aware of that, huh?
They don't ask.
No, but it was in the letter to us by MID said it was essential that every month they have an accurate accounting of the outside place of use.
We have it.
Okay, so you do send it to MID?
We have the report.
Yeah, but so you're not sending it to MID then?
Just confirm.
Why do you look at her? You're the GM.
I don't send that comes out of the office.
Well, you prepared the agenda and it's not in here.
To go off of the agenda as far as we can go.
I'm writing the question down. I'll make sure it's on next month.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Report covers what we're communicating to MIT.
Right, and along with that is, what is our policy on outside place of use serve? I asked that months ago. I can't find it in any of our policies on why, Merced water entitled customers must subsidize water outside our district place of use under the license. I still don't understand that. I've asked that question, 4, 5, 6, 7 years and never had an adequate answer. And I'd like to know, how can you force the majority of customers to pay for a special benefit? I don't understand it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 4, which is approval of consent agenda. The following items may be in one motion or considered separately as determined by. So with that,
You probably should go out to the public.
okay, any comments about the treasurer's report or the approval of the minutes? We have 2 sessions. One was a special meeting of February the 22nd and then a regular board meeting of March the 20th. Any comments?
Public? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Treasurer's report. I've got 2 questions. One's already been answered. The AR for the Irwin, you gave me the money for that, even though it's late, but that's okay. USDA was also supposed to have their first request for money in before the end of March, and I don't see that on here either. Is there a...
So the question is, have we received money from the
No, have we billed it even?
Okay.
Requested it. For the grants, I think we call them a request. In the paperwork, that 2-page handout, that showed the one for the Irwin. That was one question. The second question was the USDA first request was also supposed to be made before the end of March. There's nothing on here showing that either one of them has ever been billed or requested. The one we know about, and I'm asking about the USDA.
The DWR will show up in April's, as we submitted it this month, so it'll show up as receivable. And the USDA, we are at the point where we are submitting the final documentation to get the electronic transfer to the bank. And we've had many phone meetings with them, many hours of time meeting their process paperwork requirements. And in our last meeting, we had we went from 6 inches thick of stuff that was needed down to just a couple of requests. I've got a request into the attorney for a document and to the bank for the banking information so that they could set up the automatic deposit. Mike with Kennedy Jinks has a few documents that he's got to submit. So I can't give you an exact time, but my hopes are that it will be submitted in this month. They don't give you, it's not a matter of us dragging our feet to give them things, it's just they keep asking for more and more documentation. So I hope to have it this month.
My last question, the certificate the certification of the investments and that we will have enough money in the kitty. We have a copy of it in here, but it's blank. Does the board have the signed copy
Page 9,
from the treasurer?
page 9. Thanks for answering that question.
I'm sorry?
You asked my question.
Oh, okay.
I'm signing it for the file. I signed it for the file.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So the file, they have it. Okay, that's good.
Well, the board doesn't have it in front of them.
No, that's fine. I'm not asking for that. I just want to make sure that we got it. Thank you. I'm easy today, huh? Thank you.
Answered my question.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
Okay, I need a motion.
Yes, the board's going to communicate on it.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I'm kind of confused on that page 9. What is the purpose of an unsigned certification? I
It's the
mean,
first time I've seen it too.
so I don't, could the GM kind of explain why is an unsigned certification in the packet? I mean, what's the purpose?
It probably would have been better at the bottom of page 7, because this is the,
How does it being on a different page make it different if it's not
Well,
signed?
let me answer your
this
question.
is, it's signed for the, it's signed for the file.
But why isn't it signed for the public to see that it means something?
It-
I'm sorry, I don't understand. I
It's the
just,
timing. We're required by the government code to submit these on a quarterly basis to the board, and there has never been any documentation for the file that said that the report had been given to the board and that there, and the statement that there's adequate revenue to cover the next 6 months. And that was, so we added that to make sure that our reports were in compliance with law.
but okay, I'm missing it. I don't
I
understand.
think the biggest question here is, you gave us the document, you say it's signed and filed. So,
Could you present it next month?
I think we could do that.
Present the
Signed.
past.
This paperwork where it's signed and
What's
dated.
to validate that it is signed?
Can I explain, when we get the financials, they send us over, this is just a part of the record that gets sent over and then the packet gets put together. But that does get printed out and signed and puts with our financials.
Okay.
Just letting you know the process, not whether or not it should be signed, not signed, or
Okay.
for the public.
I don't see what was even included.
I'm just explaining the process, that this was just together with the financials. We included in the packet and,
It's part of it to be signed. Yeah.
right.
So we get
But
it next month?
This will be signed, or it is signed and put, the important thing is that, I'm not saying it's not important that it's signed in the packet, but the important thing is that it is signed and put with our financial records for the audits, for the future, for everything, such as that.
So for Lou, you've got one of these signed every 90 days in your file.
We will.
Okay, so you don't now.
We will.
They've never
You
been
just
done in the
said,
past.
they've never been
Yeah,
done.
never, it's not a new law, this is.
It was just nice to talk nice and clean.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense.
Right, and the important thing is that it is signed in that financial file, and that unfortunately, years past, when the financial persons and people were here, they were not doing it. Now we're doing it.
Okay, thank you. So it's something we've added to our process. Thank you. Okay. Any other board member comments? Mayor?
No. Are we gonna be voting on these minutes separately, or is it all as one package?
We have the choice. We have a
I would
preference.
like to break the minutes apart, vote on them separately.